Well, folks, I figured I'd get on here quick and do a little video. I was watching, it was some, I don't know if he's a pastor or what he is exactly, but he was talking there on YouTube. I think his channel is, I think it's DTBM is the channel. And if you want to know things, I'll tell you what, the guy seems to be pretty spot on. He reads right out of the Bible and he talks about this stuff. And he's intelligent. And he explains things very well, using the Bible to explain things. And if you really want to know what's going to happen, there you go. But with that said, I didn't really get on here to talk about that. What I got here on here to talk about was, the other day, we were talking about oils. We kind of touched on it just for a minute. We touched on a few other things, like filters and that. And, I know some of these cars anymore, they sit there and they say, well, golly, they, I gotta adjust everything here. I need a haircut. I'm getting to be a hippie. Anyhow. But some of these oils, they say, you can run, 10, 15, 20,000 miles. Well, it depends on your application on a lot of that stuff, because we're talking about some of these recommendations that the manufacturers say, and I'd be very leery a lot of that, just from the standpoint, especially if you got something that's turbo boosted engines, supercharged, turbocharged, a lot of heat, oil gets hot. These engines run a little higher RPMs and stuff. They put these tiny little engines in these big trucks and stuff, and especially if you're pulling something. So I think I wouldn't necessarily run the oil that long, but I think a lot of times too, if you're smart, because your microns in your filters, some of them are very fine, and you might have a lot of oh man, slipping my mind. I must be getting old. I'm getting old timers or something. No, but the carbon buildup and stuff in your engines. If you run your oil too long, it saturates with carbon and such. A lot of these direct injected engines, the valves carbon up real bad on them, and you have to have it serviced. And the thing of it is your filter will do the same thing. It'll plug up. So if you're going to run your oil longer, you're probably better off changing your oil filter. Maybe not necessarily the oil, but at least the filter. If the filter holds a quart, dump a quart back into it. I mean, some of these engines, you can put some oil in it and put it right on, and it won't spill out of the filter. Some of these, the filter goes upside down on, and it's like you can't put anything in the filter. But the thing of it is you're smart if you change your filter at least, and add maybe how much ever oil it takes to top it off. And you might even order, instead of putting oil in it, you might put an oil stabilizer in it, just to be safe. I mean, if you really want, change the oil. But we're talking synthetics here, good synthetics. And we're talking, this stuff's, 8, 10, 12 bucks a quart. When you're doing an oil change and it costs you, 50, 60, 70 bucks or 80, it's cheaper just to change the filter. And then run the oil a little longer. Keep an eye on the oil too. If it gets really dirty, and it starts getting thin looking. I mean, some of these it's 0, 20, 520. That's pretty thin already. So just keep an eye on it. You know, use your judgment on some of that stuff. You know, this is just my opinion on things. But like I was saying, you know, engines are expensive. I mean, when you're talking 80 or $100 for an oil change, that's cheap. These engines anymore, I mean, hell, you got a car that's in really good shape, but by the time you put a new engine in it and have someone do it, man, hell, you might be better off just buying another car. Gotta keep my stogie lit here. Last time I talked so damn much, it went out. Imagine that. So, and like I was saying about transmissions, I would definitely change transmission probably every 30,000 miles, because you got all these solenoids in there now that get plugged up and can get plugged up. So you want to keep them clean. Probably after you change the transmission fluid probably a couple times, you got a lot of the break-in particles from the bands and such, and the plates, the steel plates and the fiber and stuff in there. You probably got a lot of that already kind of maybe out of the transmission, so it's not as dirty. It'll help your solenoids a lot, because those solenoids, it's rare that a solenoid actually goes bad. What ends up happening is they get dirty and plugged up. I've seen some shops before, especially transmission shops, they have a little tool that can open up the solenoid, take it all apart, clean it, reassemble it, recrimp it, and the thing works fine. The solenoid wasn't bad, it was just dirty. And that's what I was talking about. You know, you want to run a good oil, good filter, and probably change it about every 30,000 miles. Don't, you know, these manufacturers, you know, you run something too long and you're going to be needing a transmission or an engine. Well, they love that. They love to make the money off you. I don't know why they just don't put on a lot of these just a drain plug on the bottom of the transmission. Maybe they do, I don't know, so you can drain the transmission. But it makes it nicer so you don't make as big a mess too when you got to pull the pan off to change the filter. But it just my thoughts on it. So with that being said, you folks have a good one. Like I always say, be charitable and kind to each other. Like I said, it always comes down to us. So until next time, hopefully I explained myself a little bit better on a couple things, because you try to cram too much in and the meaning gets lost. So you folks take care now.